Hello everyone! Deathwing the Destroyer wasn't always known for breaking the world or instantly killing poor, unsuspecting adventurers. Once upon a time, in the very beginning, he was a proto-dragon, proving his worth against the massive threat of Galakrons. By working together with Alexstrasza, Malygos, Nosdormu and Ysera, they were able to bring the gigantic beastie down, showing Keeper Tyr that the world of Azeroth could use a bit of extra defenders. So it was that the Keepers decided to call upon their mighty creators, the Titans themselves, to empower these proto-dragons and more of their kin, transforming them into the full-blown dragons as we know them as today. It was Keeper Arcadus that called upon his creator, Kaskarov, to bestow some of his vast power upon the indomitable Neltharion, as he was still called back then. Known afterwards as the Earthwarder, Neltharion was given charge over the mountains and deep caverns of the earth. My blessing upon you will seem humble compared to those which have been bestowed upon the others. The managing of time, of life, of dreams and magic. I offer you the earth, the soil, the ground, the deep places. But know that the earth is the basis of all things. It is where we are rooted, where you must come from if you are to go to. Here is whence true strength comes, from deep places, within the world, and within oneself. He embodied the strength of the world and served for many long ages as Alexstrasza's greatest friend and confidant. He also grew close with Malygos the Blue. Brothers, they may not have been in blood, but they were truly brothers in nature. For a while, things were pretty great, and the dragon aspects performed their duties, held up their charge, maintained their domains, but being connected to the earth, it did come with a bit of a problem though, as the planet itself had been infected with the old gods. These malicious beings once ruled the surface, during the days of the Black Empire, but had since been locked away by the Titans. Even before transforming him, Neltharion could already hear their soft whispers in the air. Now, as the aspect of Earth, and as the ages passed, their vile influence gradually pervaded the aspect's once great heart. His descent into torment and madness went unnoticed by the other aspects, but it would be revealed during an all-out epic war called the War of the Ancients.
Entranced by the power they offered, our queen betrayed us.
In this time, we saw the demons of the Burning Legion trying to bring in their master Sargeras onto Azeroth. A resistance was formed. Even the dragons felt compelled to join the battle. To put a swift end to the conflict, Neltharion proposed a solution. By pooling a portion of their powers together in an artifact which they called the Dragon Soul, they could focus their powers and scour the Legion from the face of the world.
It is done. All have given that which must be given. I now seal the Dragon Soul forever.
That terrible glow. Should that be?
For it to be as it must, yes. It is a weapon like no other. It must be like no other.
Obviously, the others had no idea that Neltharion had turned to the dark side. He would be the only one not giving up a portion of his powers. And at first, the Dragon Soul did exactly as he had promised, wiping out the Legion down below. But when it came time to break their spellwork, return what was given, Neltharion showed his true nature. He knew that they would all betray him. The voices had told him. They would all want the Dragon Soul for themselves. Those closest to him were actually his enemies, as he was told. The Earthwarder used the artifact created on not just the demons down below, but also the resistance that had formed and the dragons themselves. The Blue Dragonflight, the one that was ruled over by his almost brother Malygos, it was nearly wiped out, reduced to dry husks, their magic and their life force drained by the now called Demon Soul. This betrayal, it hit Malygos extra hard, especially as he had stood at Neltharion's side when they created it. This moment right here, it would send him into madness for millennia. And though the other dragons, they did their best to stop him, they too were forced to flee from the madness of Neltharion, the madness of Deathwing. But using the epic powers from the artifacts, it also had its effects on Deathwing himself. As the Demon Soul's energies flooded through him, Neltharion's body began tearing apart. A raw power, like the seething heart of a volcano, engulfed his soul. Smoldering fissures wrenched open across his scaly hide. From these wounds, geysers of white-hot fire and magma burst forth. With a howl of rage, Neltharion finally withdrew from the engagement, disappeared into the skies. To hold his body together, he decided to bolt some adamantium plates to his spine just to keep all of that in, designed by goblins and then placed by enslaved Drogbar. The mad aspects, he was ready for more. The War of the Ancients kept on going, and the old gods, they actually wanted the Legion, they wanted Sargeras to come in, thinking that they could use the momentum to escape their prisons. They manipulated events so that the demon soul ended up in the hands of those that were working on the summoning, kinda underestimating exactly how crazy they had driven Neltharion. The demon soul was his precious, and no one, not even those maddening whispers in his mind and heart, would keep him away from it.
It is too powerful!
How dare you touch my creation? It is mine! Mine!
Neltharion! What have you done? You have doomed us all to the madness of the old gods!
It is mine!
He is lost to us, sister. He is Neltharion.
The power of the soul is tearing him apart!
I will not be denied!
The old gods protect the soul.
Despite his best efforts, he was unable to reclaim his precious artifacts. The War of the Ancients, it ended in victory for Azeroth. But the other aspects, they soon discovered that they had no way of destroying the demon soul, nor could they reclaim the powers that were sacrificed. With little other choice, they decided to enchant it, preventing Deathwing or any other dragon from ever touching it again. Then they hid it away in a remote corner of the world that in time would become known as the Red Ridge Mountains. In the meantime, our Neltharion, he had retreated to his vault in the lands now named High Mountain.
For Horde, the War of the Ancients did not end at the Well of Eternity. With the Legion defeated, he focused on the monster that got away. Welcome, my friends, to the Vault of Neltharion, or as the world came to know him, Deathwing. Stand your ground, war braves! You dare challenge me? My people did not make this goblin trash. We only strapped it to that worm's hide. No weapon of mortal make can penetrate these metal plates. Then we must find weapons not made by mortals. Igrul, is there any tool or trinket that Deathwing kept from your people? Something he would not trust you to touch? I may know of something. A hammer. Deathwing eats any of my people who get near it. So Deathwing wants this Titan hammer kept secret? Perhaps this is the weapon we need to challenge the beast. Enough stalling. We must slay the beast and set my people free. Both the hammer and Deathwing were tools of the Titans. I doubt I could kill him, but I may be able to banish him.
By working together with the enslaved Drogbar, Hall and High Mountain got his hands on one of the pillars of creation, called the Hammer of Kaskaroth. This Titan artifact, it did not give him the power to fully vanquish Deathwing, but it would be enough to kick him out of the lands, banish him to Deepholm, the elemental plane of Earth. That's where he would stay for a while, and Deepholm would kinda become his recovering place. After a while, he returned to Azeroth and slumbered some more. Now his actions had caused quite a bit of death and destruction, and had shattered the unity and power of the great dragonflights. What he did during the War of the Ancients, it made sure that they would never be the same again, and for his treachery, his own black dragonflight, it now lived in fear and seclusion, as in the coming ages, they would find themselves hunted to the brink of extinction. Fast forward a few millennia, and we find Neltharion stirring again. Awakened by a rather interesting event, the opening of the Dark Portal. This is a connection between the world of Draenor and the world of Azeroth, which allowed the Horde to come in and try to conquer the world. He watched with fascination as Stormwind and the Horde fought, and he became convinced that the orcs, they might be the means by which he could restore his wounded black dragonflight. He knew that more threats in the world existed, besides just the other dragon aspects. If the Horde could break Azeroth's kingdoms, eliminating some of the strongest cultures in the world, it would allow him to devote his full attention to fending off his fellow aspects and return his black dragonflight to its full glory. Under the guidance of his old god masters, he took small steps to aid the orcs. Nothing too drastic, of course. He didn't want to attract any unwanted attention. First, he disguised himself as a human noble from Stormwind, visiting the kingdom of Lordaeron, charming those there with gossip. When stories of the Horde's invasion finally did reach the kingdom, disguised Deathwing openly scoffed at them. He told Lordaeron's upper society that the tales were just fabrications, meant to hide growing problems with human rebels. His lies were far more believable than the desperate pleas for help from Stormwind. Any that did still believe the reports coming in, they got a taste of his sorcerer's abilities. Once he was certain that Lordaeron would send no aid against the Horde, it was time to mix and mingle with the orcs. Taking on the form of a Blackrock orc, he examined the orc society from the inside, living as one of them for months. Soon enough, he found himself favored by many. Orcs like Gul'dan believed that he was a loyal follower. Blackhand believed that he was a proud Blackrock orc. Even Orgrim Doomhammer believed him to be a stalwart ally. His inside knowledge paved the way for the next step of the plan. While the demon soul had been hidden away from him, it was still on Azeroth, and he was still the aspect of Earth. There were very few hiding places that were actually hidden from him, but those enchantments and defenses placed around the artifacts, they were all aimed at other dragons or beings from Azeroth. The orcs were neither, so Deathwing started to send visions to Zuluhet, leader of the Dragonmaw clan, vivid dreams of his clan taming and riding strange, powerful winged creatures. Dragons, the humans called them, an intoxicating sight. To the Red Ridge Mountains they went, blasting through the protected wards and the Red Dragon Guardian. Far away from the Red Ridge Mountains, Alexstrasza could sense that the wards were broken, but they received no word from the Relic Guardian. She grew concerned, so she took a few of her fellow dragons to investigate, believing that some foolish mortal had somehow stolen the artifact, that the Guardian was in the midst of trying to get it back. They thought that it would be real easy to help her retrieve it, unaware that they were flying right into Deathwing's trap. With the use of the demon soul, Alexstrasza was enslaved. The dragons stood no chance against the artifact, and seeing how their queen was under control of the orcs, the dragons followed their orders. From afar, Deathwing rejoiced in Alexstrasza's enslavement. Given the Horde such powerful weapons, it served his plans to restore his Black Dragon flight. But there was an added benefit to all of this. He knew that it would break the Lifebinder's heart to see her kin used as tools of war, and he would relish every moment of Alexstrasza's torment. But despite giving the Horde some powerful tools to fight the battles, they still lost the war against the Alliance. The Dark Portal was shut down, and then it was reopened. A second invasion. This time, not to conquer the world. Rather, the remnants of the Horde, they set their sights on 3 powerful artifacts. With those in hand, they'd be able to make more gateways to different worlds. Perhaps those worlds would put up less resistance. For Deathwing, the defeat of the Horde, it was a setback, but at the very least, Alexstrasza was still held captive. He became invested when the Dark Portal reopened, and decided to use his old tactics of infiltration. Working his way into Lordaeron's court, disguised as Lord Davil Prestor. Charms and magic made him a beloved sight at court, with King Teranis even promising his daughter Kalia to the Lord. That's right, Kalia nearly married Deathwing, but that wasn't his main focus here. He just wanted to do as much damage from within as he could, while also working together with the Horde. Azeroth had those pesky fellow aspects that could threaten his flight, a problem which the orcs' homeworld of Draenor did not have. So it was that the Horde was offered his allegiance, the aid of his flight in securing those artifacts. In return, they would take a bunch of his dragon eggs through the Dark Portal back home. Eventually, the Alliance discovered what the Horde was up to, and decided to step through the portal as well. Take the battle to the Horde, make sure that they couldn't inflict the same damage to other planets as they had caused to Azeroth. In order to truly stop them, shut down the portal again. They were going to need an artifact, which was called the Skull of Gul'dan. This had made its way into the hands of Deathwing, who set up base within the inhospitable terrain of Gorkrond. Being able to fly there, it was quite the advantage to have, but it didn't stop Gruul or his fellow Grunn from trying to swat those pesky dragons out of the sky. Seeing how this conflict was already on its way, Khadgar and the others, they decided to use it to their advantage. Form a little alliance with Gruul and his children to take on the behemoth and steal back the skull. Gruul was so big that he could just pick dragons from the sky and tear them apart. His sons gladly followed their father's example. while the Alliance was busy shooting dragons down and destroying Deathwing's eggs. Eventually, the mighty Aspect showed up, mad anger in his eyes and Horde in the skull of Gul'dan. He locked eyes with Gruul, and they entered a titanic battle. While Khadgar tried to figure out a way to actually defeat Deathwing, he tried to use his magic straight on, but this did nothing. Since Deathwing, he had mastered these magics millennia before the humans even learned about them in the first place, so Khadgar had to be smarter. As Deathwing fought with Gruul, he saw the armor surround the mighty dragon, literally keeping him together, and Khadgar figured that since his most powerful spells had no effects, perhaps one of the more simple spells would do the trick. This time, he did not aim at the dragon directly. Instead, he focused his magic on the bindings of the armor, and he was able to remove the metal plates. Deathwing screamed in agony as molten lava poured out of him, and he was forced to retreat, being kind enough to leave behind the skull. If he had taken only a few more wounds, he might have died on Draenor that day. Instead, Deathwing abandoned all of his plans, all of his dragons there, flying straight back to Azeroth through the Dark Portal. He wouldn't be there to witness it himself, but ultimately, the Alliance would stop the Horde's plans, but the planet of Draenor did transform. You might know it better as Outland today. While those black dragon eggs left behind, they transformed as well, giving birth to a brand new dragonflight, the so-called Nether Dragons.
I will not be undone by some mortal filth. I am the World Breaker.
Seeing how those dragons were locked away in Outland, and Deathwing didn't even know about them, they wouldn't be of great help to him right now. Instead, to get his flight going again, he set his sights on the ex of Alexstrasza. She was still enslaved to the Dragonmaw clan, despite the Horde's many defeats. If he could find a way to lure the orcs out of the base of Grimbatol, get them out in the open, then he could strike, use that opportunity to take her ex and enslave them to his will. Visions and dark dreams were sent to the Dragonmaw's leader, offering premonitions that the Alliance was preparing a strike on Grimbatol that would wipe the clan off the face of Azeroth. To sell this little fiction, Deathwing arranged for a small Alliance party, led by the powerful mage Ronin, to stumble upon the Dragonmaw's hidden lair. Panic followed, and the clan was ordered to abandon Grimbatol and move on over to a brand new hiding spot. Drawing the orcs out of their mighty fortress was exactly what Deathwing had hoped for. And he was no longer the only powerful dragon with his attention on the Dragonmaw. Alexstrasza's consort Corialstras had already been working long and hard to free his beloved queen. When he finally discovered that she was being held captive by the Dragonmaw, he found that he was utterly helpless. Don't forget, they still held the Demon Soul, an artifact that could destroy any dragon. Rushing in there, it would be suicide. Not even the other aspects were eager to help him with his mission. Now, after Ronin had stumbled upon the Dragonmaw, the Red Dragon found hope once again. Taking on the form of Krezus, he promised the human all the aid he could muster to free the Red Dragonflight. The mage was on board to break this surprisingly powerful remnant of the Horde. He gathered a small group of friends and then set out to do the near impossible. When they arrived, the battle was already underway. The moment the Dragonmaw had left the safety of their keep, Deathwing struck and slaughtered countless of the orcs. He had no desire to keep them or the adult dragons alive. Only the eggs were of use to him. Unfortunately for Deathwing, his reckless assault had some unintended consequences. As the battle played out, the orcs lost control of the Demon Soul, and Alexstrasza broke free, devouring her tormentors whole before turning a wrath upon Deathwing. Not alone either. Despite their fears, the other aspects had also showed up to help. Their unified power against the mad aspect. And still, they stood very little chance. Their powers were only a fraction of what Deathwing still held, considering that a huge portion of it was still locked away within the soul. Thankfully, Ronin managed to find a way to destroy it, and after millennia restore the aspect's power. Ysera, Nosdormu, Alexstrasza, even Malygos, with their full might, they took on their fallen brother. A sensation coursed through the Black Dragon. The feeling that something had gone terribly wrong with his perfect plan. What was lost has been returned to us. The Demon Soul. The Demon Soul is no more. Impossible. The metallic behemoth roared. Lies, lies. No, corrected the Crimson figure. The only lie left to disprove now is that you are invincible. and Deathwing found himself under attack by 4 elemental forces, the likes of which he had never faced. No longer did he fight a mere shadow of his rivals, but a quartet, each his equal, and he no match for all together. Alexstrasza rose before him, the terrible nemesis. She gazed at Deathwing, still in part with pity, and said, "Life is my aspect, Dark One, and I, like all mothers, know both the pain and wonder that entails. For the past several years, I have watched my children be raised as instruments of war, slaughtered if they proved insufficient or too willful. I have lived knowing that so many died that I could do nothing for. Your words mean nothing to me," Deathwing roared as he futilely struggled to shrug off the other's horrific assaults. "Nothing!" "No, they likely do not. Which is why I shall let you experience firsthand all that I have suffered." And she did just that. Against any other attack, even the nightmares of Ysera, Deathwing could summon some defense, but against Alexstrasza's, he had no weapon upon which to draw. She attacked with pain, but her pain. She dealt not with agony as he knew it, but with that of a living mother who suffered with each child torn from her, with each child turned into something terrible, with each child who perished. "You will go through all I have gone through, Dark One. Let us see if you fare any better than I did." But Deathwing had no experience in such suffering. It tore at him where the pain of vicious talons or ripping teeth could not, for it tore at him in his very being. The most terrible of dragons screamed, as none had ever heard a dragon scream before. That perhaps was all that saved him. So startled were the others by it, that they faltered in their own spells. Able at last to rip free, Deathwing turned and fled, flying fast and furious. His entire body shook as he continued to scream, even as he swiftly dwindled from sight. That was also the last time that they saw Devo Prestor at court, which was lucky for Kali, I suppose. Not the last of the black dragons that are messing with noble affairs. You might recall Onyxia, disguised as Katrana Prestor, messing up a bunch of stuff in Stormwind. Then his son Nefarian, performing experiments within Blackrock Mountain, trying to combine the different dragonflights into one, the so-called chromatic dragonflights. We also had his prime consort Sinfaria, the journey to Outland, and was mighty interested in the nether dragons. She'd go on to use them to create a brand new breed, the so-called Twilight Dragons. Well, the nether dragons, they would be responsible for restoring Malygos' sanity. After millennia, the blue dragon aspect could see the world clearly again, and he saw that it was abusing magic. He became a great enemy to the world and a threat to take out, meaning that the blue dragonflights no longer had a leader or an aspect. All the while, Deathwing enjoyed a bit of recovery time, hiding out within Deepholm, basking in the powers of the elemental plane and his master the Old Gods, especially the Old God N'Zoth. The Old God had some plans in mind for his servants and the world of Azeroth as a whole, but that part of the story we'll save for next week. So for now, thank you very much for watching, everyone. Subscribe if you like my videos, leave a like if you enjoyed this one, and until next time, see ya!